Okay, so let's get started. So, hi everyone, I'm Tiff O'Connell. I'd like to welcome you to our November 30th, 2022 edition of O'Connell Law's Lunch and Learn, where you get to sit at your own desk or hopefully somewhere more comfortable, eat your lunch, and listen in on a topic we want you to know about. Because we limit this webinar to 30 minutes, please feel free to post any questions that pop up for you in the chat box or the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. Based on time, we'll get to as many questions as we can. However, also note that I'll make sure that you will have in the chat box Jeff's contact information as well as our contact information. I also may end up posting some additional pertinent material. So just kind of watch that chat box as we go along. But with that, I would like to welcome my guest today, Jeff Weiner. So Jeff is the CEO of HKM Associates. HKM Associates strives to provide excellent service in the areas of life insurance, health insurance, and financial services, both in the personal as well as the corporate marketplace. Jeff brings extensive knowledge to these areas and has been the recipient of many industry awards in his 40 years in the field. For those that were listening in prior to us getting started today, you'll also realize that Jeff is very philanthropic and has some wonderful charitable giving endeavors that he does. So that said, I did ask Jeff to come here today to talk with me about specifically relating to health insurance. There's a lot of potholes and pitfalls that people fall into that we can all learn about. And as I've talked to Jeff over the last several months, I've learned a lot. And so I know you're going to learn a lot today too. So with that, Jeff, welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with your group.
Well, so thank you. So Jeff, I'm going to throw this out first because I think it would be helpful for those that are watching, listening in to get an idea of health insurance 101. What's that general information that we need as a foundation before we start talking about the other things we want to talk about today?
Sure. I mean, health insurance is a very complicated issue, but we try to simplify it. Um, what do? We sit down with a company, we take a look at their bill and benefits, assuming they have benefits. If they don't have benefits, we can certainly set them up with benefits. But the first thing we do is we take a look at a company's bill and benefits, we review the plan, we shop the market to see if there's something better, less expensive. If it's a different network, like we've done a lot of work in Massachusetts because Blue Cross of Massachusetts is one of the major players in Massachusetts. Well, for smaller groups, Blue Cross of Massachusetts is a flat rate, single flat rate family, regardless of age. United Healthcare, who's a national player and very well represented in the state of Massachusetts, is age banded. So we had a group the other day that's 7 people, law firm. They have Blue Cross. We are $10,000 cheaper for the same exact plan.
Wow.
Because it's 30, 20, 30, and 40-year-olds. And it's age banded, so we're able to save them a substantial amount of money without sacrificing coverage. And then what we do is we do doctor searches on all the doctors. So this way, nobody has to switch doctors, even if they're switching carriers. Mm. Last year, we did that with a 25-person firm. We saved them $70,000. We searched 60 doctors. We was 60 for 60, and the firm saved $70,000. And the employees didn't care because what do they care what their insurance card says as long as their doctors take their plan?
Yeah, so now there may be folks listening in that they are an employee with a company, so therefore they're kind of stuck with what their employer does. But I think for those that do have the ability to kind of choose what health plan you go into.
Yeah, and even if you're an individual, okay, so you're an individual and your company doesn't even offer benefits.
Right.
Well, one thing that we suggest is talk. They would check for it, but you get several advantages. If you're on the mass exchange and you're not getting subsidized, the carriers, there's not that many carriers. The rates are not any bargain if you're not getting subsidized. And anything you contribute, which might be 100% of the premium, is pre-tax dollars. So you're getting a better carrier, a better price potentially, and pre-tax dollars paying for it. So even if you are an individual and the company doesn't offer benefits, the other thing we tell people about is if you're a 1099. Well, 1099s are eligible for benefits if they have an independent contractor agreement with that company.
Hmm.
For example, we wrote a Keller Williams agency. This guy owns 2 Keller Williams agencies. Well, he pays them through his other company. They're all 1099s. He's covered by Medicare. He had 4 1099s. They were all on the exchange, but making too much money to get subsidy.
Wow.
They now are with, they happen to be a New York group. They were the Oxford. And we put them with a very good quality Oxford plan. And they're all 1099s because they have independent contractor agreements with ABC company. They were eligible to get benefits because it's really about education, knowing what people don't know.
Right.
And with the companies, not only do we do doctor searches, but we run employee meetings for all our groups. And when I run the meetings, we tell the employees to pull out their cell phones and put my cell phone number on their speed dial. So we're available 24/7, not only to the owners, but every employee of every one of my clients has my cell phone. So we service at a different kind of level.
That's huge. And I think something that I'm pulling away from this is don't just assume you're stuck in whatever plan you are.
Yeah, it's worth a phone call. I mean, Tiffany's going to provide my email address and my cell phone number. We're available 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. 7 days a week. So if you have questions on health insurance, you want to have a conversation, you're not sure if you're a group when you may be a group, because we've had people where it was just one family. And I said to him, all right, well, what's your situation? Well, it's me, my wife, my son. I said, what does your son do? Oh, my son works in the business. I said, is your son on the books? Yes. Okay. Well, the insurance company was saying they're a one-person group, so they're not eligible anymore. So what did we do? We made it a husband, wife. We made the employee, the son who was on the books anyway, an employee. Wrote him as a single, so it's the same family coverage, but now you have 2 eligible, 2 covered. Now you're a group, and now you can keep your coverage.
That's
And
huge.
we were able to save their coverage when they thought they were being thrown out of their coverage. Well, they were being thrown out, but their broker didn't really care because it was only 2 people, and he didn't want a 2-person group.
Okay, got it. Got it. So just for those listening in, and those that are listening in and I can't see the chat for whatever reason, Jeff's email is jeff@hkmassociates.com. And Jeff, actually, I don't know your cell. So what is
516-316-1255. That's 516-316-1255.
Wonderful. And I also did post that in the chat box just now. So, and I was looking, we already have a question. So I'm going to actually go ahead and ask that question. And then we'll dive into the other stuff we talked about. But here's the question from someone listening in. My husband has been going back and forth with Mass General Brigham about a facility fee for a visit to a satellite MGB office. We had both had visits to that facility previously without incurring a facility fee. Are these facility fees justified? Do we need to pay it?
I would, if you have a broker, your broker should be able to handle that for you. Without knowing the plan and the product, it's hard to say, but many times, no, you shouldn't be paying that facility fee. What I would also do, if you do have to pay it, negotiate it. So if it's a $200 fee, see if they'll take $50, because tell them you never paid before. Would they take $50 of payment in full and negotiate?
Excellent. And then if someone doesn't have a broker, is there a place that they could go? Like should they go to their
Yeah, I mean their HR person, their employer, if it's not their business, yeah, your HR person should be able to help you out. But yeah, that would be the place to start. If you're an employee of a company and if they're denying or they're charging you something they shouldn't, go to HR. HR will go to the broker, and then the broker should be able to at least find out what's going on and why all of a sudden the fee came into play.
Got it. So I'm gonna ask this, what is a facility fee?
You know, a lot of the companies, a lot of the places charge a fee because they can get away with it. It's and I don't want to say it's a made up fee, but it's something that a lot of the doctors never charged. If you did a copay in a lab, they charge separate copays. You know, the system is broken. A lot of people try to work the system because they're not getting paid as much as they were.
Got it. And so they're trying to add these other things in to balance it.
Correct.
Okay, got it. So Jeff, what I'm going to do from here is I'm actually then going to dive into the things that we had planned out that we're going to talk about. But again, please, folks, feel free to post in that question and answer in the chat. And we're happy to get to those if we've got time. So here's the question that felt that this would be very helpful for a lot of folks watching and listening in. What should you do if you get a bill from an out-of-network doctor that you didn't pick?
Okay. So here's things that people don't know about. One of them, as you mentioned. So if you go to an in-network hospital and get a bill from an out-of-network doctor that you did not pick, do not pay it. Now they'll call you and say, oh, your insurance company didn't pay me, you have to pay me. You do not. What you have to do is you have to call your insurance company or your broker, tell them you want to file an appeal. It's a one-page form. We help our clients do this. And then they will call the out-of-network doctor and work out a fee. Because if you go to an in-network hospital and see an out-of-network doctor you didn't pick, you're responsible for $0. But most people don't know that. And the reason the out-of-network doctor is calling you first, you're going to pay them more than Blue Cross of Massachusetts, Harvard Pilgrim Health, Tufts, Aetna, Oxford, whatever carrier you have.
Got it. And so the key takeaway then is, again, if you're at an in-network facility, but you get charged by an out-of-network
Yeah,
doctor.
that's typically like an anesthesiologist, because a lot of the anesthesiologists don't take insurance.
Got it. Got it. And so that's huge. And then again, if you've got a broker, go through your broker. If you don't, that one isn't going to HR. That's going to your insurance company, calling, getting the appeal form.
Correct.
And submitting it.
Correct.
Okay. What happens? So just so that I'm also educated on this, you submit the appeal form. I take it goes back to the insurance company. So you haven't communicated with the out-of-network doctor in this case. You just submitted the paperwork to the insurance company. What then happens?
Well, once the appeal is filed, then they should negotiate with the out-of-network doctor, and you should not even ever hear from the out-of-network doctor again.
Got it.
Because the out-of-network doctor has to take whatever the insurance company pays them as payment in full. They're not allowed to collect additional money from you anyway.
Got it. So it's not that the out-of-network doctor is not going to get paid, but they're going to get paid based on that insurance company's rates for out-of-network.
Yeah, because when you go to an in-network hospital, you agree to whatever they pay as the fee.
Got it. So thank you. And so therefore, if the doctor's office continues to hound you, you should say, contact my insurance company.
Correct. Leave me alone. Contact my insurance company. Correct.
All right. Very good. That's huge. So now here's the next one. What should you do if you've been billed above the copay for a copay service?
Okay. So when you go for a copay service, blood test, x-ray lab, and you pay your copay, then you get these really annoying bills, $27, $42, small amounts of money, and people just pay those because they're small amounts of money. Don't pay those if you care. Some people just don't care and they'll pay them. But we tell our clients, if you care, don't pay them. Call the hospital, the doctor, the lab, and say, why'd you bill me that $42? I paid my copay. The bill will 99.9% of the time go away. I say, oh, it was our error. Because I'm not an attorney, but by contract, copayment is supposed to be payment in full. You're not supposed to get billed 10 cents above a copay for a copay service. The hospitals and doctors and labs all do that because everybody pays it. It would be a great class action lawsuit if people woke up and said, why am I paying all these little nickel and dime bills and things like that, in my opinion, at least, and so that's what we, we tell people, try it. It very rarely has it not worked.
Got it. And then just kind of flesh that out a little bit more. One, because I'd like to get an understanding, but two, I think there might be other people too that would like to get an understanding. So of course you should have health insurance and you're paying the premium, or your employer's helping supplement for the premium. But then on top of that, when you go for a doctor visit or something, you're paying for a copay for that. So, and that's usually listed right on your health insurance card, right? And
Yeah.
then once you've paid that,
Yeah, you shouldn't be getting billed any more money for, now, if you do surgery, if you have procedures done, that's different because that applies towards your deductible. But if you go for any kind of, like a blood test, an x-ray, a lab, but anything like that, that's where you pay a copay. That should be it for payment.
good. And so therefore they shouldn't see an additional.
Correct.
Now, if you go for a doctor's appointment, you paid the doctor the copay, but then there's been some lab work and then you get a bill for the lab work.
That's different because depending on the carrier, some carriers allow copay for the lab, a copay for the doctor visit, things like that. So that varies from carrier to carrier, from state to state.
Got it. So I think the key is take a look at what the bill says.
Yeah, be an educated consumer. Don't just assume this bill is right, because probably 40 to 50% of the time there's an error in a bill.
Got it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's willful, right? Or
No,
sometimes
sometimes somebody pushes the wrong button. We had a situation where somebody went into the emergency room and had some procedure done. Well, they had a $250 copay for the emergency room. Somebody pressed the wrong button. They applied the $5,000 deductible and coinsurance. We called up. We said, wait, he went into the emergency room. Why is this not a $250 copay? And they were like, oh, yeah, sorry, processed it wrong. Yeah, you're right. Throw the $5,000 bill out and pay the $250.
Okay. Got it.
That's what a broker's job is supposed to be.
And so, and I very much believe in having a broker help, because it really helps someone that's educated helping you. So I highly encourage that for those that have that ability to be able to do it. So now you've gotten a bill, and let's say you don't like what you see. Let's say it's a large hospital bill or it's a large doctor bill. Something is justified in it. So it's not like it was an error, or it's not like, no, you shouldn't have billed for that. They should have, but it's just really large.
All right. So here's what happens. So let's say you get a $2,000 bill from Mass General. Okay. And it's a legitimate bill. It's the right bill. So you have a couple options. Option one is to call them up and say, look, I want to do a monthly payment plan because I don't have $2,000. And you'll put down $300 and you'll pay $50 a month for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. You can do that. That's not a problem. But if you're in a position to do it, negotiate. And what do I mean by that? So you get the bill. Wait 60 to 90 days, because they're not going to negotiate day one, because it's day one. They want their $2,000. Wait 60 to 90 days when you start getting the nasty notes. Then you call them up and say, look, I know we can do a monthly payment plan, $50 a month for the next 4 years. That's a hassle for everybody. I'm not going to remember to pay it every month. It's going to be a hassle for everybody. Would you take $800 thereabout as payment in full? And they'll come back to you and say, no, we can't take $800. We'll take $1,500. And then they will negotiate. Let's make a deal. They will negotiate against themselves. The reason they will is because if they give it to collections, You're going to lose 50%, and it's going to take them 3 years before they're going to get the money. And what I find fascinating, and which is why we try to educate our clients when we run these employee meetings, is first thing you do when you get a note from a collection agency, what do? You negotiate. Well, the collection agency is not going to want to negotiate. Not that they can't. They don't want to because the money comes right out of their pocket, and it's a smaller agency typically, and they're trying to get every dollar they can get, so they don't want to negotiate. Not that they really can't, or the hospital doesn't let them negotiate, but the hospital and the doctor who say this big bill have a lot more flexibility and a lot more room to negotiate. So why not go directly to the source rather than, if it goes to collections, try to make a deal then? Go right to the hospital or right to the doctor and try to negotiate with them, because they have the power and the authority to be able to do that.
Oh,
And they also know that medical no longer counts against credit. Years ago, they'd say, oh, we're going to ruin your credit and we're going to report it to the credit agencies. The law changed, so they cannot do that. Medical no longer counts against credit anymore.
so therefore, and I think this is a point to maybe hammer in a little bit more. So if they say we're going to report you for credit purposes, by law, you're saying that they can't do that anymore.
They can say they're going to do that, but it doesn't count against credit anymore. The law was changed. So they can say they're going to do it, but they really can't do it.
Okay.
I mean, they could try to use it as a threat, but no, they can't do that because the law changed.
Got it. And so therefore, anything north of 50%, they're willing to negotiate.
Yeah. So start at a ridiculously low number and see how low they'll go. And if it's not an acceptable number, then you can always go back to the monthly payment thing.
Good. That's huge.
No risk involved in trying to negotiate.
So I think what I've pulled so far from this is, one, pay attention to what health insurance you have. Don't assume. So please correct me, Jeff, or elaborate, but don't assume that you're stuck in the policy that you're stuck in.
Correct. The way health insurance works on a company basis is health insurance is month to month. So just because you own a company and you renewed it in January and you're like, yeah, I renewed it because there was nothing better that I found, whatever, doesn't mean you can't change it for February.
Mm.
There's no pre-existing conditions. That's a federal law. It has nothing to do with states. Everything is guaranteed issue. So just because you renewed last month doesn't mean next month you can't switch to a different carrier, and switch your health insurance.
So you're not stuck. Like I'm thinking, like for those that are on Medicare, and we're not talking about Medicare today, but for those that are on Medicare, once they've finished that enrollment period, they're stuck until the next enrollment period unless there's some qualifying event.
Correct. That's Medicare. But if you're
here.
talking an individual plan, a company plan for people not on Medicare, we had a group that is renewing December 1. We just met them. They're like, oh, it's too late. We just renewed December 1. I said, no, it's not. We can switch you January 1. And that's what we're doing. Because we were able to show them substantial savings in our review. And they're like, okay, so we'll switch January. So December 1, they renewed. They will renew as is.
Mm-hmm.
And January 1, we're switching them to a different carrier.
Great. So that's really good to know. So knowing that, get yourself into the right program, know what your coverage is. So actually pay attention. What are your co-pays? What does it cover? What doesn't it cover?
And when you get a bill, make a phone call, whether it's to a broker, whether it's to the insurance company, just to verify, where'd you come up with this number? It doesn't logically make sense. Question it. What's the worst that'll happen? They'll show you why they're right and you're wrong, and you made a phone call. But now we question pretty much every bill and we do that for all our clients. That's why they get my cell phone number. We had one the other day where he sent me a bill for $3,100. Well, he was in the emergency room, stayed overnight in the emergency room. They obviously pre-certified him going into a regular room. which he never went into.
Oh,
Didn't stop them from billing him for the emergency room charge and a regular room charge, and he was in the hospital for 1 day. You can't bill for two places at once, and $3,100 bill became a $1,400 bill.
got it. Got it. And so really it comes down to pay attention to what those bills
Yeah,
say.
be an educated consumer. If it doesn't look right, question it, because chances are it's probably not right.
Right. And I know that we only have about two more minutes left before we need to wrap up. And I just kind of want to take this on a little bit of a tangent, but it's still very much connected, because a lot of folks that we help are actually caregivers of someone who is at the stage where they need a lot of medical assistance, whether because of a physical condition or it could be cognitive, right? So that being the case for those caregivers, it's very important for them to be paying attention. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'll give you one thing that if you don't know about, you should know about. It's called GoodRx. So GoodRx is Amazon for medication, and I'll give you a quick example what just happened with my wife. My wife went to CVS to pick up a cream that she needed, not covered by insurance. It was $150. She bought it. And she came home and I said to her, that was the discount with GoodRx? She goes, oh, I completely forgot about GoodRx. Went on GoodRx just to look up the cream. Same exact cream, same exact location, $90. She went back to CVS, said, I forgot to give you my GoodRx card. Gave him the GoodRx card. She got a $70 credit.
So this, I just posted a link to GoodRx in the chat. And so this is open to anyone to sign up.
Yeah, GoodRx is a free website, and anything you need to buy at a pharmacy, go on GoodRx, put in what you need to buy, put in your zip code, and it finds you the cheapest place to buy it.
Fantastic. And so everyone, GoodRx.com, definitely check that out. And so again, if you want to reach Jeff can be reached at jeff@hkmassociates.com. You also find his website at hkmassociates.com. And Jeff has been very kind to provide his cell phone, which is 516-316-1255. So Jeff, any parting words before I do the wrap up for us?
Nope. I think we pretty much covered as much as we could in the time that we have. And so if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Whether you're an individual or a company, it doesn't really matter.
Fantastic. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for talking with us today. I know I learned a lot. Thank you as well to those who have been watching and listening in. Please watch for email announcements on upcoming lunchtime webinars that we'll be having. We will be taking a hiatus over the holidays, but we'll be back in January with our Lunch and Learn series. I hope you all have a good rest of the week and wishing you all happy holidays. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Jeff.
My pleasure.
All right. Take care, everyone.